Howdy, folks. I'm Lawful Laurentium, laboriously litigating lackadaisical laws.
I'm Amber.
And here are more lackadaisical laws for us to litigate? I don't really understand why Laurentium is doing this, Amber.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not Laurentium here, so.
I guess Laurentium's ways are a mystery to all of us. A mystery. I said that so weird, but we're going with it anyways. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not letting my pregnant niece move in? I'm a 37-year-old female, and my husband and I have 5 kids. An 18-year-old male, a 16-year-old male, an 11-year-old female, an 8-year-old male, and a 5-year-old male. We have recently moved into our dream home, a large 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home with a huge backyard that has an extra 2-bedroom granny flat. A few days ago, my sister-in-law turns up with her kids. A 16-year-old female, a 13-year-old male, a 13-year-old female, a 10-year-old female, and a 7-year-old female, and a 5-year-old male. Can we appreciate how many children are in this situation for a moment? Sister-in-law's kids started running amok, so I sent them outside to the playground that came with the house, while giving sister-in-law a tour. When we got to the backyard, she notices the granny flat and asks who's living there. I tell her that the 18-year-old male is. She asks to see it, but I refuse and says that he's at work and I'm not going to invade his space. She huffs and isn't happy, but due to previous experiences, she knows not to push it because I'll just make her leave. After more than a few comments on how it must be nice to be able to give all of my kids their own rooms, and even let the 18-year-old male have his own flat, and how it's terrible that her kids are stuck sharing rooms in their 4-bedroom housing commission houses, etc. I'm not in the mood, as they had turned up unannounced. Whined that they couldn't swim in the pool, as my husband hadn't treated it yet, and I don't have what they wanted to eat for lunch, and refused to order McDonald's for them. I finally got them to leave and hoped that they wouldn't be back for quite a while. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Yesterday, sister-in-law and her 16-year-old female daughter showed up at 8 a.m. As it's a public holiday in my state, my youngest 3 and I are just having breakfast, while my 2 older are still asleep. Sister-in-law catches my husband heading to work. I hear yelling from out front and to find sister-in-law screaming at my husband. In all the yelling coming from sister-in-law, I find out that sister-in-law wants her 16-year-old to move into the granny flat as they've just found out that she's 15 weeks pregnant. She claims that since they already are overcrowded and don't have a room for a baby, 16-year-old is moving into the flat so that I can help with the baby when she goes back to school. My 18-year-old male son will need to share a room with one of his siblings or move out. She won't be paying rent, and we are now responsible for everything that she and the baby will need. My husband continues to shut her down and tell her that we are not responsible for her daughter's mistakes, and we're not kicking our son out of the flat that he pays rent for. After a few minutes of both sister-in-law and her daughter yelling at us, they finally realize that they're not getting anywhere and they leave. They have been posting on social media and whining to my in-laws and anyone else who will listen about how cruel we are for abandoning the niece in her time of need, and that we have plenty of room, and how we are in a financial situation that I can quit my job to look after the baby so that she can get an education that she deserves. Most people are on our side, but there are a few saying that we're the jerk. So, what do you think? Am I the jerk for not letting her move in? Alright, folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think Opie's being the jerk here, and the entitlement is just next level. Like, can you imagine going up to someone and being like, you're gonna have to quit your job and raise my kid and her baby full time now because, you have money, so I'm gonna do that?
Well, and how dare her assume that OP can even quit their job? They just bought a new house, right? It's their
Yeah.
dream house. What makes them think that they can actually afford their budget on with OP quitting their job? I mean, maybe they know something that we don't. They probably do, but it still seems really odd to assume that they know their finances that well.
It is. It's very presumptuous. And then, like, just the demands. Like, can you imagine, like, going up to someone and being like, hey, my daughter's taking over your son's place now, and we're not paying rent. You're just paying everything. I just don't see how anyone could agree with them.
Yeah, well, it is next level entitlement. They're really trying to push the daughter off, the niece off in her time of need, right? And like that's the irony here is that kind of the mother of the 16-year-old is abandoning her in her time of need for somebody else to take care of her when she's accusing OP of being the one who's abandoning her. Now, I do think that the 16-year-old does need help. I'm not saying that she doesn't. And I think that is an unfortunate situation, but I don't know that OP should force their son to move out of the room that he's paying rent for. Just a really big ask.
Right. Well, and even if OP can afford to quit her job, like, you're not entitled to someone else's time like that. I'm sure OP had, like, either enjoys her job or needs the job, one or the other. And, like, it's not fair to be like, oh, well, now you're going to be raising a baby that you had no say in, and just because we are related.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk If I Don't Buy My Friend and Her Child a Christmas Gift? Some background. I've been struggling to find work after being laid off. I'm in school working on a certificate program to improve my options, but all of the money I get is going to bills, rent, and groceries. This is something that is pretty well known in my friend group. Because of my financial situation, I've been pretty transparent with my friends that I'll be crocheting them gifts for the holidays. I have a ton of yarn on hand, and I don't expect anything of anyone because times are tough for most of us right now. Most of my friends are completely cool with this, partly because crocheting has been my side job for years now, and they know how much time and effort I put into these projects. But one friend, we'll call her Anne, gave some pushback regarding me making her and her child anything. I asked Anne if her kiddo needed any warm clothes, blankets, or plush toys, and she said, look at the registry that she has open still from his birthday. I explained that as much as I would love to buy off the registry for Christmas, fiscally it isn't something that I can do, and that I was planning to make gifts this year. She argued that if I'm not buying gifts for anyone else, then I should easily be able to buy gifts for her and her son. I tried to reiterate that I can't afford to buy gifts, but she waved me off, saying that I was being difficult. This really frustrated me, not because she didn't want me to make either of them gifts. I've had some parents share concerns regarding a child having an allergy to something in the materials, dyes, or just personal preference, all of which I completely understand and respect. But because she seems to feel entitled to being the only person in my life to receive a store-bought gift, I'm opting not to give her a gift for her son or anything now, out of principle. I know it sounds petty, but if I were to get enough money for a gift for anyone, it would be for my significant other or dad, both of whom have helped me through this rough patch. I talked to a mutual friend about it, and she thinks that I would be the jerk if I gave everyone else gifts, but not Anne and her son, and that I should maybe at least try to get her something under $10. I really don't think that I should be obligated to spend money on someone who is being entitled and rude. Am I the jerk? Edit to add, Anne is married to one of my relatives, not a sister-in-law, but a second cousin-in-law type thing, and is also friends with many of the people in my friends group. My use of the word friend was kind of the short version. I typically limit my contact with her as much as possible. Update. I spoke with her husband and explained the conversation with Anne, and he's appalled and a bit angry. He assured me that his kid has no allergies and has crocheted items from Anne's mother-in-law that he loves. He even asked if I could do a little bear beanie for the little one to go with his little bear onesie. So, kiddo will get a homemade gift for sure. Anne's husband intends to talk to her about this because they apparently had talked about a gift for me for that, in his exact words. That would help me out or would be very useful to me. So, there's that. Alright folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think OP's being a jerk here, and there's a trend here of entitlement. Like,
Yeah.
imagine, someone being like, "Oh, I have been laid off. I need to save money. I can't afford Christmas gifts." And oh, well, that means you can spend the little money you have on me because I'm more important than, eating and housing and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those situations where OP has said that they can't afford this, and she's just pushing these boundaries. I don't understand why she would want a expensive gift anyways, or even like a cheap gift. Like OP taking time to crochet something, I'm sure is going to be a lot better quality than whatever cheap gift OP would be able to afford to get her, right? Like something under $10 probably not going to beat a homemade crochet bear beanie, for instance, right?
Well, exactly. And I'm really glad that that OP was able to talk to the husband and that he sees things reasonably.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully he'll be able to talk some sense into Anne because that's really, really not a good way to act and very entitled.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Accidentally Spoiling the Gender of Our Baby? Lurker here, as my husband is familiar with Reddit. I got the results of my NIPT blood work today, and we both agreed with the doctor at the time that we would like to know the gender of the baby. The doctor called me while my husband was away and said that the results looked good and that she would email me the results shortly after. The email landed, and I looked through the results in excitement and saw that we were having a boy. When my husband got back from work, I greeted him at the door and told him the good news. He was unhappy that I spoiled the surprise for him and that I robbed him of the moment. He wanted us to go through the results together, which he did not tell me. I apologized and said that I was just excited to know our baby is healthy and that we can still look at the results together. He said that there was no point. The moment was gone, and that I never think when it comes to situations like this. He proceeds to call me inconsiderate and selfish, and I apologized again, saying that I didn't mean to hurt his feelings or ruin the surprise. I just thought that he would be happy to know our baby is healthy and happy, no matter what gender. The last thing that he said to me was that I am now responsible for buying all of the baby's things because I spoiled the surprise for him. It's been 3 hours and he hasn't said a word to me. I feel so guilty that I might have robbed him of a chance to celebrate. But at the same time, is this really the thing to be upset about? Am I the jerk? Please be honest. Edit, thank you all for your comments and feedback. It's certainly given me a lot to think about. I'm sorry that I could not respond to everybody, but I will try to read everyone's comments in the morning when I've gotten some sleep. I have already contacted a therapist for myself for the time being. Thank you again for the insights. It's deeply appreciated. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think OP is the jerk here. First of all, it sounds like the husband did not communicate to OP that he wanted to look at them together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can understand being a little disappointed if he had that expectation, but it was on him to make that clear. But the whole, now you're responsible for buying everything for the baby, that's just such a massive overreaction, cheating level overreaction type of deal. She just told you the gender of the baby. She didn't cheat on you, and now you found out the baby's not yours.
Yeah, so when he says that OP is now going to be responsible for everything with the baby, what that tells me is that he wants a divorce. Because they're, parents are supposed to be working together as a team. They're supposed to be going forward and, working together to provide for their child, right? And the fact that he's completely taking no responsibility for the child whatsoever, at least that's kind of how I'm reading it.
I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, that's one possibility, but my guess is he's an abusive person, and he's using this as a power and control technique.
Oh, well, no, I'm not saying that he isn't an abusive person. What I'm saying is that if someone says to you that they don't want anything to do with your child, then give them that opportunity to not have anything to do with that child.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a divorce-worthy offense, especially if this is an overall trend in his behavior, that when he gets upset, he makes OP responsible for things. Because if she's now entirely financially responsible for the child, then she has less money to spend on herself and is more beholden to her husband.
Yeah, and that's why I say a divorce, because then at least he's going to pay child support, right? If he's not going to cooperate in reasonable terms, then OP really doesn't have any other choice but to move away from this relationship.
Yeah, I misunderstood what you said. I thought you were saying that he was trying for a divorce, and I don't think that's the case.
Oh, no. I mean, I think that he just is looking for an excuse.
Yeah, an excuse to basically make OP feel guilty and beholden to him.
Yeah. So I don't think that OP's in the wrong here. I think that her husband is not being a very good person right now. I don't know if there's something going on with him and that he needs to go into therapy and work through some things. But if he continues to act this way and stonewalling OP like this, then I don't know. I mean, I think that this could very well be the end of a relationship.
At a minimum, he probably should get into some, if he's this upset about something, the gender is, I know a lot of parents get really excited for it, but in the scheme of things, it's not that, big a thing. And if it's so upsetting to him that he wants to make OP pay for everything from here on out, then he needs therapy.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a jovial Bob sign joke.
Why did Dr. Jekyll flunk chemistry?
Well, Dr. Jekyll flunked chemistry, clearly, because he was mixing all together a bunch of different chemicals and potions in the middle of class, and the doctor and the professor did not approve of that at all, especially since, like, he released the rage machine and smashed all of the vials and stuff like that, and that took hours to clean.
He kept drinking the final exam.
Oh, well, that would explain it. That would explain it. And I have Earl Grey. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior!
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it in the form of the title for a news segment.
Breaking news. Entitled Mom demands that relative house daughter for free and quit her job to take care of her baby. More at 11.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.